Tapu and Namaste. This is Kasakma Keperu here today again with another broadcast, and this one is going to be called Why You Are Unable to Awaken Your Power. Now, a lot of students come to me and they're saying, Kasak, I've done the exercises and I'm just not manifesting things, Why? Why is that? I said, well, you are manifesting because if you weren't manifesting things, then you wouldn't see cars, trucks, the sky, the moon, the stars. So you are manifesting. But what you're really saying is that you want to manifest at will. You want to bring to fruition the things that you desire. And there's several reasons why it may not be happening in the manner in which you want. And I want to kind of explore those things today with you guys, so we can get a better understanding of how to use the incredible power that you have. Because remember, you are God, man, God, woman, not in quantity, but in quality. So you share in his power. So always keep that in mind. So God needs you to experience this fourth dimensional plane. And in so doing, you have dominion or governance over what happens. You are a type of co-creator. In fact, I used to use that term a lot, co-creator, and I stopped using it because, as you know, you really don't create anything. You can only vibrate to a frequency to where that thing is so that you can visibly see it and interact with it. Because all that exists already exists. You can't create it. Matters, like energy is neither created nor destroyed. It merely changes form. So we have to keep that in mind. Now, to understand why you, so for one thing, let's understand that you are creating on a microsecond by microsecond. You're creating every time you turn left, turn right. You look here and there. You are constantly creating the scenery around you. It's like being in a video game. You ever play a video game, a first-person video game? As the computer turns left, the CGI is being created. So that's basically your world. You are perceiving a reality that's before you, that you're creating. Now, the thing about it is you have reached what we call a plateau. You're trying to go to the next level, but you're stuck. And being stuck comes from a couple of reasons, but first and foremost, let's explore this first reason. A lot of times it has to deal with your beliefs, your core belief system, and that's really important. I cannot overemphasize that, because when you start, when you truly, and this is the thing, right? It's not so much like I can come along and say, oh, I want to manifest money. I believe I can manifest this money. That's not a core belief. That's you trying to trick yourself into manifesting money. A core belief would be, the core belief is, I am God, I can manifest anything I desire. That is the fundamental core belief. And that is what you need to, that is the default belief you need to work on. Because if you don't believe that, any other thing that you try to do is going to be useless, because you don't have the foundation built first. Do you understand what I'm saying? It's like trying to build a building without cement, just water. It's ridiculous. So it's and sometimes this process can take years to overwrite the default programming, because the default programming says you're human, you're a sinner, and whether you like it or not, you have taken in that program from society. It's on the peripheral, but it's come in, and you have accepted it. So what you need to do is start to get rid of that and start replacing that program with a new program that says, I am God, I can manifest what I want. In fact, they did a study, and the study had showed, and this was a gentleman was doing, I think it was, the book was on, I think it was Synchronicity, I'm not really sure. But he did this study on how these individuals were manifesting things, and he asked them what was the differentiating factor as to why some could manifest things quickly and why others couldn't. And he says it really boiled down to their belief system. And and science has done a very fabulous job of trying to debunk all this by saying, well, we've done studies and they're always inconsistent. They're inconsistent based on the fact of the belief system of the individuals. This is why they have what they so-called the placebo effect. You know, if you believe the medication will work, even though it's a sugar pill, it will work. You know, it's all about your belief, how much you believe in it. All right. So that is the when we get, and this is why the ancient Kemetic people and Egyptian people, they started out their religion or a spiritual life with the idea of you are God, man, God, woman. It's not you are a sinner, you have to go to an intermediary to be saved. It was always with the notion that you had the power. You just need to learn how to use the power. All right. So that is the core of the fault programming. Without that understanding, everything else is a futile attempt. Okay, you can go and try to manifest money. You can manifest a mate. You can, you know, it's like a roll of the dice. So let's understand that first. Get to the core of it. Start understanding that you can manifest anything you want. Now, it's not good enough just to say that. You have to believe it to the core of your being. All right, so let's move on. Right now, within you exists a complex system. We'll call them, we'll say they're spheres of an ecosystem, okay? And they're different belief systems fighting for dominance, okay? And sometimes they get replaced. Sometimes some of these belief systems grow and get bigger and stronger. Now, what is a belief? A belief is an idea empowered by an emotion. An idea is not truth, okay? It doesn't even, you know, so don't because you have a belief doesn't mean that it's the truth. It's just an idea empowered with an emotion. So get that straight. We have to very, very clearly understand that. All right, because most people are running around on the planet with erroneous beliefs, but it's comforting to them. Now, in this ecosystem that's within you, you have many different belief systems, okay? And sometimes when you have belief systems that are competing against each other or diametrically opposed to each other, then you have paralysis. And this is where you get the plateau from, meaning that it's irreconcilable it's irreconcilable opposites or differences that you cannot work out. Now, your subconscious mind is constantly trying to work out these differences. But when it can't do that, then there's a paralysis. And when there's a paralysis, there's a plateau, and you're not able to make any progress. And this is what we call in occult, magician, magic, or whatever, magi would call a block. That means that you're unable to perform your magic because you have something that's blocking you. And it could be like you don't feel entitled to be wealthy. You don't feel entitled to have that good-looking man or that beautiful woman. That's a block. That's a conflict of belief systems that's going on within you. Now, the tricky part is working those belief systems out so you can clear that block. Now, the one thing about these belief systems is that one belief system can actually hide another belief system under it. So you may clear one, and then when that one is cleared, the other one emerges and says, "Hi, I was hiding," you know, and you're like, "Oh, crap." So you have to be aware of that. So it could be layers and layers upon belief systems. And it could be in the deepest recesses of your mind, going back to childhood, the things of that nature, you know. So be mindful of that. And again, it's this entire ecosystem, which is why when you're going to, and we call this a truism, when you're going to accept a new belief system, you have to make sure that it gets along well with the other belief systems, the ecosystem, which is why we call it a truism, because a truism is in no way conflicting with the other belief systems, because it's a truism. All right. So that's something to keep in mind. And the best thing to do is one of the things that our ancient ancestors did to prevent this this bombardment of negative beliefs, because you don't want to keep having those beliefs keep coming into the subconscious mind, because it has a deleterious effect, which we call the shadow self. Our ancestors practiced, I think it was the Greek culture, Stoicism, and this was created by the philosopher Zeno in Cyprus, I think back in 300 BC. And he was a philosopher who lost everything and then started studying and then came up with Stoicism, or being stoic, meaning that you're not being moved in one direction or another, that you're basically practicing a way of life that is not going to go to any extremes. And this is the same thing that what came before this was the ancient Egyptian practice of Meneb and Ankh and Ma'at. And that is what translated means keeping the heart still to live truth. Because when your heart is still, you're not emotional, you're not overreacting, you know, and things like that. And I've seen this a lot, especially in minority communities, where you have these women who get so emotional, they start physically abusing their children. Well, you know, that is not a spiritual life. That is not what you should be doing. And it shows that you have a lot of issues going on. Now, as I said before, when you are allowing a lot of these belief systems to come in and they're empowered by emotions, that's a belief, an idea empowered by the emotions. If they keep coming in, they create what we call a shadow self. That is that's an alter ego in a way, an alternate side of you that you may not even be aware of, that's in the deep recesses of your mind. And society, especially mainstream media, knows how to program that within you, and they do it specifically by using sex symbols, because they know what appeals to your shadow self is the sexually repressed things that we all have within us that we're not able to release and allow to go forth, which is why in ancient cultures we had no fear, or there was no shame in the naked body. So there was no sexual repression of anything. But here in Western civilization, there's a lot of repression, especially with women, repression sexual things and the shaming tactics and things of that nature. So you have that creation of the shadow self. All right. Now I want to turn and show you that these belief systems must be reconciled, and the blockages must be cleared to allow your power or your energy to flow cleanly through that chi energy, which is a very important force, vital force that must be transmitted through to allow your power to emerge. And I want to show you, this is Heru or Horus. And if you see, one of the things that from the statues you'll see in all of Egypt or Kemet, they always had the sun disk at the top. And the serpent, I won't go into what the serpent means, but the sun disk here. And if you look at Het-Heru over here, or Hathor, she has a sun disk too. Okay, so what is this, and the serpent as well. And so what is this sun disk telling us? This is Ra, the energy of Ra, the Kundalini, that chi force. Okay, so, and it's also happens to be that sexual energy, okay? Because that sexual excitement energy is what creates or manifests reality. That's the creation force. The same way as we create life through sexual intercourse is the same way we bring forth the things that we want in a metaphysical way. So if I want money, if I want a car, or if I'm wanting this home, I can work on exciting myself, bringing up that chi energy, that raw force, from a very sexually excited manner with a visualization of the goal in mind. And when I do that, then I'm charging that visualization, and then the universe aligns the forces to bring me that thing. That's how it works. If there are no conflicting belief systems that say I shouldn't have it, or I don't feel entitled to have that house. Does that make sense? You understand where I'm going? This is why, again, I said, you know, people reach a plateau, and it's one of two things. Either, you know, like you don't have the core belief system intact, which is your God man, God woman, or you have competing belief systems that need to be reconciled. Now, the problem is, in our society today, we live in a Western culture which always sees things diametrically opposed to each other. It's all polarized. It's the Hegelian dialectic. It's like they don't know how to have two opposing viewpoints that can live harmoniously together. So this is why I say a lot of us in this society are sociopaths, because we're walking around and all we see is black and white. All we see is good and evil. All we see is right and wrong. We don't see the myriad of images or the complexities or the shades of gray that can be there. We always see contradictory elements and not complementary elements. And this is what causes so much problem in today's modern world. It causes wars. It causes strife among genders. It causes racism. This is the problem. And this is why a lot of people's magic does not blossom, because, you know, it's trapped, because the energy is trapped within them, because they are unable to release the energy, because they cannot, one, believe it to the core of their being, believe that they're God man, God woman, because they've been told that God is an external force and not within them. They're told that there's an outside world. They're told they're not connected to the universe and God. So, you know, or they're told that this is all hocus pocus, and so there's just so much erroneous thought processes going on that it's hard to believe this. But check this out now, that the science has already proven that you are in a hypnotic state right now. You know how the Vegas hypnotists will bring people on stage, hypnotizing them and making them think they're chickens and pigs and ducks, right? Well, you're already in a hypnosis state, what we call the reality tunnel. And you're already being given post-hypnotic suggestions to tell you to believe in certain things on a consistent basis through high frequency generators. So if that is the case, then the reality that you see before you is manufactured. So we know that you, through a process of putting you into a trance state and then feeding yourself different belief system, can manifest a different reality. Doesn't that make sense? You can train yourself to go into trance state, accept a new set of belief system, a new set of ideologies or philosophies, or whatever you want to call it, or truisms, and then watch as things miraculously change in your environment. Because what you see around you is not really real. It's only there because someone has told you that that is real and that should be there. And look at the Matrix, right? He was saying, I believe the little kid was holding the spoon. He says, because I think he was trying to bend the spoon. He says, don't focus on trying to bend the spoon. That's impossible because the spoon doesn't really exist. You know what I mean? So that's what it's all about. That is why, you know, if you're focusing on the wrong thing, that is why your magic is not going to work. Your power is not going to work. And this society has done a brilliant job at tricking your mind into, you know, they'll say like, oh, that's mumbo jumbo. We've done the surveys, you know, and we've surveyed, let's say, 5,000 people who've claimed that they could manifest a quarter out of thin air, and only one was unexplainable that he was able to do it. We couldn't explain it, but it was just one or two that could do it. But that is not enough statistically to prove that man can actually manifest things. Well, no, it is proof because it tells you that it's according to the person's belief system, and due to the erroneous nature of the belief system that the society has, you are preventing people from allowing the energy to flow, from allowing them to have the right mode of thinking to allow them to believe that they can manifest these things. Because even the Bible said if two or more people agree, then so shall it be. And we know through the 100 monkey principle, the mesquite monkeys, that there is a collective consciousness. And if the collective consciousness, we as a people agree through the mass collective agreement, if we agree on something, then that thing comes into fruition. It manifests. And they've done the experiments where they had thousands of people who meditated upon peace, world peace, and they found that crime in certain countries actually decreased. So we know this is viable. We know this is legitimate. So I'm just putting this to you to let you know, for those who aren't getting the results they're looking for, it's not because it doesn't work. It's because you're living in a society that is bombarding you with negative ideas or trickology to keep you from allowing yourself to have the energies to flow through you, and allowing yourself to have the right belief system, which is Sebek or Anubis, to get the power going. And I'm not going to lie to you, to have the right belief system where you actually truly believe that you are God, man, God, woman, could take years. Could take years. You know, I mean, I've got people who walk around with the voices on their iTunes or their phones playing it back, I am God, man, I am God, woman, and they do it day after day, month after month. And some use even subliminal stuff underneath music. And I applaud them for doing that, because what they're doing is they're drowning out all the garbage and the subliminal programming from our government and all that, because they want to ascend to the highest level. They want ascension. So that they're trying to get on that path to go there. But the idea is one person may be able to accept that belief system of God, man, God, woman in 6 months. Another person may not accept it until 5 years from now. Everybody's different. You can't standardize it and say, well, it takes generally about 3 years to really believe you're God, man, God, woman. It doesn't work like that. Everybody's different. You know, it's like, for example, it's like learning, learning to play chess. How long before you become very proficient? It depends on the person. You know, how many hours they put in, what their background is, are they very skilled at strategic thinking, you know, things like that. So if you put in a lot of time, then more than likely it may take you less time in terms of doing your work to say the truisms over and over again. This is why you see the Buddhist monks reciting the mantras over, because the mantras have the frequency, and we have some mantras for that too, to speed up the energy, so you can accept the belief system that you have power. You know, but when you have these idiots out here called Christian ministers, these fools, teaching people that they need to say, praise Jesus, or praise Muhammad. When you do that, what you're doing is you're just saying that the power is outside and with someone else and not you. And you're reinforcing that every time you say that, praise Jesus, or Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. You're giving away your power to someone else. And that's a very dangerous thing to do. Very dangerous belief. It essentially is, you're disarming yourself. It's like God's giving you this nuclear bomb, this power, and you're giving it to somebody else. And you're like, no, I don't want all that power. Take it. You take it. I don't need it. You know, and then you crying for God when things go wrong, you know, and God said, well, I gave you something to help you and you just gave it away. So anyway, I hope you liked this video and that it answers some of the questions as to why you're having trouble manifesting things in your life and unleashing your power. So you should be good to go out there and start working on becoming a magi, a magician, you know, a very powerful magician. If you like this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to my channel for notifications on new videos, and please share it with friends and family members so we can get the word out and start the revolution. And until my next video, this is Kasakma Keperu, Amun Ra.